Everybody's Matt Mayoko back at you with another video during the NFL Scouting Combine, but not at the NFL Scouting Combine. So I traveled to Indianapolis on Monday. I spent the rest of the day Monday, all day Tuesday, and Wednesday there. John Lynch, 49ers general manager, spoke to the media on Wednesday, had a one-on-one with him in addition to his podium session, and then also a sidebar with some of the 49ers reporters who were there. And then Thursday afternoon, traveled back home. So before I left on Thursday, I did kind of camp out at Podium 8, where Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end, was doing his media availability. Now, I kind of wanted to get there because he was the last guy when I did my mock draft that I put at number 11 for the 49ers. And, I think ever since I did that, there was some back and forth, a lot of people saying, no, they have to go offensive line. No, they have to go defensive line. A couple of mock drafts out there from credible people who know the draft inside and out, say 49ers should go cornerback with Will Johnson. But I decided to get there with Tyler Warren and ask some questions, and I did. I asked him about well, first off, he was asked about which tight ends that he admires, and he mentioned off the top of his head, starting off with George Kittle and Travis Kelce. Now, the thing he said later, when asked about specifically about Kittle, was just that he does everything well. He's a good blocker, he's a good pass catcher, route runner, and good with the ball in his hands, yards after the catch. And the reason I'm even starting to talk myself more into Tyler Warren, if he even makes it that far, because talking to a lot of people at the combine, they think he's a top 10 pick. And it's just that, for lack of a better term, the chess piece that he would give any offense, but especially where the 49ers are right now. Uh, more than likely, I would say, yeah, I'd say 100%. Deebo Samuel's played his final game with the 49ers, and that was a very versatile piece of the 49ers offense. And a lot of the 49ers offense has kind of been geared around what Deebo Samuel does so well. It's, the ability as a receiver against zone coverage, catch the ball in space, on the move, and then just be a dynamo with the ball in his hands. And then also, of course, being able to use him on jet sweeps or just flat out lining up in the backfield. And what Tyler Warren brings to the table would be a tight end where you can kind of morph the offense from 21 personnel to 12 personnel. They've been a two-back offense for quite a while, ever since Kyle Juszczyk has been with the team. And, bringing in an 11 overall pick like Tyler Warren would enable the 49ers to make that shift more to a two tight end situation where that's their base offense. Now, we all know a year ago that Kyle Juszczyk, coming off of 7 consecutive Pro Bowl seasons with the 49ers asked him to take a pay cut, and he did, moving his salary down to $1.2 million for the 2024 season. For 2025, he is scheduled to make $4.1 million. And that was something I asked Lynch about, just what their plan is for Kyle Shanahan. And, his answer, it was very non-committal. He certainly did not say that we'd love to have Kyle Juszczyk back at 4.1 million. He certainly did not say that. What he did say about Juszczyk, who turns 34, by the way, in April, he said, we'll see. We're thinking of a lot of things right now. We're trying to make everything work. And there are some tighter constraints than we've had in the past. You've got to be smart, and you have to think about long-term health. And he means obviously the long-term health of the organization. He says, we want to be competitive now and into the future. And if you just keep going, I love doing that, but you also have to step back sometimes and recalibrate. And so the 49ers have, as far as the spending, they have I believe they were the number one team in cash spending last season. In fact, I know they were, that according to Spot Track. And they've ranked in the top 10 in cash spending in 6 of the past 7 years. So all that money that is spent in cash is basically spending cash over cap. All that money at some point has to count against the salary cap. So the 49ers can't just keep going, going, going. They have always stated that they don't want to get into a situation where they're just going all in for 1 year and then they have to tear it all down and try to rebuild. They want to be competitive year after year after year. So that's what they're thinking. That's why I don't expect them to go out and spend big money on free agents this offseason. And that's why I think if you have an opportunity to get a difference maker, and by the way, another question I asked John Lynch on the podcast, 49ers Talk, you can check that out, was I said, what are the key markers? What's he looking for with the number 11 overall pick? And he said, a difference maker. Now, you know, that kind of goes without saying in a sense, but if they take a defensive lineman, yeah, absolutely, they could be getting a difference maker. If they take an offensive tackle there, I'm not so sure they'd be getting a difference maker. If they take Tyler Warren there, I think they would be getting a difference maker. So, anyway, that's those are the questions I asked of John Lynch when I talked to Tyler Warren. He said it'd be a tremendous opportunity for him to play alongside George Kittle, to learn from him, and then also he did say with Kyle Shanahan's system, it is very tight end friendly. They use tight ends, often two tight ends. In the past few years, well, pretty much ever since Kyle Shanahan's been here, it's been George Kittle and just a blocking tight end. But what I think would be interesting, and the reason I am kind of going back to this Tyler Warren thing, and stop me if you've heard it before, but I don't know if I've actually said it this way. But just think about if you went two tight ends with George Kittle and Tyler Warren, it would really force the defense to make a decision. Do they stick with their base personnel and then there'd be a mismatch of either Warren or Kittle being matched up against a linebacker? If the defense goes nickel, now they're light and the 49ers have, 260-pound Tyler Warren in there and they can run the ball down people's throats. So I do think that there's some mismatch possibilities there as it pertains to why they would even contemplate or consider adding a tight end with the 11th overall pick. And by the way, Tyler Warren said that he did not meet with the 49ers. To me, that's no kind of indication because I would think that the 49ers probably already know enough about him as far as what they've seen on film and their area scouts that they could really lay low on him and know what they're getting. No big mysteries, no big surprises. I wouldn't expect them to show any outward interest in him if, in fact, they were interested in him. And by the way, I did mention I'm home. Guess who else is home? John Lynch. I was on KNBR Friday morning talking to Greg Papa and Greg Silver, and Greg Papa said that they were going to have him on their show coming from Indianapolis. However, John Lynch has returned home, but the 49ers personnel department, rest of the personnel department and their scouts all remain in Indianapolis. Okay, so I also went to Bluesky to ask if you guys had any questions. One question was kind of funny. It was about the reporter on reporter, um, not crime, I guess, but although NFL securities were called to it, Jordan Schultz, I believe he's a Fox. I don't know Jordan, but I know that he's trying to make his way as an NFL insider and news breaker. Um, he was, and by the way, he's I think his dad was the CEO of Starbucks. It happened in a Starbucks where Ian Rappaport and Jordan Schultz had been reporting like kind of differing things on, or had reported differing things on Matthew Stafford. By the way, Matthew Stafford is back with the Rams. I don't think any of us really ever believed he was leaving the Rams, and now I think the Rams have their quarterback. They ended the season strong last year. They're going to be, obviously a major force in the NFC West. But anyway, Jordan Schultz reported earlier in the week that Matthew Stafford met with Tom Brady. Tom Brady now a, Las Vegas Raiders part owner, and they were talking about a union there of Stafford and the Raiders. Ian Rappaport kind of shot it down a little bit, saying it was a chance meeting. They just ran into each other in a ski resort in Montana. Jordan Schultz went back and said, if you really believe they just randomly ran into each other, got a bridge, I'm going to sell you. And so it went back and forth a little bit. And according to the reports, I wasn't there. I was in town at the time. I wasn't there, but it was the talk of the combine that Schultz apparently confronted Rappaport. A near altercation ensued. It got heated, and so, as I understand it, no punches were thrown or anything like that. But kind of interesting. Not interesting. I don't know how don't know how to say it exactly. I will say this: in 30 years of reporting, nothing like that has ever happened to me. I've certainly had other reporters take shots at me on social media, um, but I have a thick skin. I don't let that bother me because Steve Young told me a long time ago, the NFL is a three-ring circus. You got uh, a lot of stuff going on. And there are certain people who want to take shots at other reporters who may be a little bit more established just to make their name or whatever the case may be. But um, I never really take that stuff too seriously. And the people who come after me or whatever on social media, I end up muting them, and so no skin off my nose. What I don't know doesn't hurt me, and so. But as far as like other reporters, I've never had a one-on-one confrontation like that. My role as a beat reporter, I think, has changed quite a bit since when I first started. When I first started, we were grinding the news, breaking news, and all of that. And then I think right around the time, it's been more than a decade now, where basically, most information about players come out from the agent who represents the player. And that used to be where I'd get, 95% of my information. And, there's been this turn in the past, more than a decade now, 15 years probably, where the insiders are the ones who get the information. So that's why you see very rarely team reporters or reporters who cover a team break the news that's from the national guys, because it's basically, one-stop shopping for an agent. He can make one text message to a couple people and he doesn't have to answer, five or six different texts or calls from the people who cover the team. And so the beat reporter, my role has changed in the sense that now it's not necessarily grinding for the news. It's reacting to the news and explaining what it means and giving a little bit more context because, guys like, all the insiders, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, uh, Jordan Schultz, they report something, contract agreement, guy getting cut, trade, whatever. And then they move on to the next thing. And the beat reporter, people who cover the team can then kind of layer a little bit more context into why something happened or what's going to happen next. Okay, now I'm looking at some of the questions from Blue Sky. It's clear the 49ers will bring in another kicker for competition. What do you believe it's more likely to be a rookie, drafted or undrafted, or a veteran? Well, I mean, after talking to John Lynch, what's also very clear is that the 49ers have a belief that Jake Moody is not done. And they put a lot on themselves, saying they probably brought him back too soon last season. If you remember, he was pretty good before the high ankle sprain on his kicking leg. When he came back, he was not as good. And so they're putting a lot on themselves that they were probably more to fault for bringing him back too soon. He was clearly not as good of a kicker after the injury, after going on injured reserve. So, um, Actually, I'm not sure he went on injured reserve. I think did he go on injured reserve? I think they just kept him on the 53 man, but he was out for a period of time. Um, so we'll see. I agree with you. I think they're going to bring in competition, but Moody is the guy that they would like to win that competition, and he'll have the opportunity to win that competition. I would think that they would. I'll put it this way. If they're going for a rookie, they're bringing in a rookie, and they're not going to draft one. But if they bring in an undrafted rookie, Jake Moody's he's clearly the favorite to win that job. They could go out and get somebody like they did last year, a veteran who has a little bit of experience, who's sorry for the pun, but kicked around a little bit. A guy like Matthew Wright from last year and Anders Carlson, not necessarily those two guys, but somebody of that grade. So if you think that Jake Moody's time with the 49ers is over, I can't go there. I don't know that it is because it seems like they really want to give him a good chance. Yeah, somebody asked about Lynch leaving. Is that to get FaceTime with Brock? I think 49ers have had a lot of FaceTime with Brock. In fact, when I talked to John Lynch, and it's on the podcast as well, he made it sound like a lot of the conversations that he's been having are in fact with Brock Purdy and not and obviously with the agent as well, and there's been face-to-face stuff, but Brock Purdy is coming to the 49ers facility like on a daily basis. So they see him a lot. There's no huge urgency to get that thing done, but it certainly sounds like the lines of communication are wide open with that. Um, Somebody asked me if it's noteworthy that John Lynch left Indianapolis. I'm not sure it is, just because, as I outlined, there's so many other guys in the organization who are there right now. And it says, well, somebody else says, nice to see he's taking it seriously. I don't know. I honestly can't tell you. I think it's rare that GMs or coaches stay for the entirety of those meetings. And I can guarantee you that when they have the Zoom meet or they have the meetings with the formal 60 players they can meet with for 15 minutes at the combine, John Lynch, I'm sure he'll be on those Zoom calls with those players, and they also record those that they can go back to later. Which potential draft prospect for the 49ers impressed the most at the combine? Okay, well, as I'm recording this, the only ones we know about are the defensive linemen. So guys like James Pierce, Derek Harmon. Those are two guys that come to mind as far as guys that impress that could be there at 11. But, defensive tackle is going to be, and defensive line as a whole is going to be super, super deep. And so the 49ers have 4 picks in the first 100, 7 picks in the top 138. They will have ample opportunity, even if they don't take a defensive lineman at number 11, to improve that position group dramatically. So that's probably about it. Now, if you have other comments, leave them in the comments section, or questions, leave them in the comments section below. And I'll be checking in frequently throughout the weekend and next week as the combine continues on and as it wraps up. And thanks again for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment, leave a like, and that is it for now.